Hey, it's Aaron from AaronOnAutos.com, and today's review is brought to you by the Gary Sinise Foundation. Click the link below and donate. Hey, it's Aaron, and today I'm with the 2022 Toyota RAV4 Prime. The Prime is the plug-in hybrid model of this, and it is by far my favorite RAV4. So, with this, in a nutshell, you get about 40 miles or so of electric driving range. Then beyond that, you're on the gas engine. The gas engine gets about 34 miles per gallon. So, all in all, very efficient. It's also right-sized as a two-row crossover, good-sized storage area, just well done all the way around. But I do have a few faults with it. So, let's get into it. All right, really quickly, you have an EPA rated 42 miles of EV range. I have gotten slightly better than that. I've been more like 44. Some people will get more, some will get less. It just depends on your driving habits, how much stop and go you're doing, that sort of thing. It really excels in town. Once you get on the freeway or the highway, that EV range is going to drop significantly. But very nicely done there. So most people for their everyday driving are probably going to be in electric mode. That saves a ton of fuel. Now, charge times. The charge time on this is fairly quick. It's about 4.5 hours from my wall charger, and I have a 240 volt 50 amp service, so I'm charging this at a full 40 amps. If you plug it into a regular household outlet, it's going to be pretty close to 8 hours, about 7.5 to 8 hours of charging. If you have access to a fast charger and you opt for the upgrade on this with the charging setup, you can charge it in as little as 2.5 hours. So lots of options as far as that goes. I think the majority of people with a plug-in hybrid are probably going to be just fine just plugging into a regular 110 outlet. You can charge it overnight and be ready to go the next day. If you do have a 240 volt service, then of course things get a lot faster from there. Now, as far as the rest of it, the drive quality is pretty good. It's not great. The only reason it's pretty good, honestly, is because it's super fast. You can do 0 to 60 in about 6 seconds with this pretty easily. That is awesome. Feels really good. The problem is you get no steering feedback. It rolls on the corners. It is not a cornering machine. This is a family car. It is not a sports car. So even though it can go really fast, it's not like made for that. Okay, so it is pretty disengaging to drive this. I think that most of the people who are going to be buyers in this category probably aren't terribly concerned about that. Let's look at design, then we'll talk about the interior, the working in, and a few other things. So you can see from the side profile here, the RAV4 hasn't really changed much in the last, 3 or 4 years since this version was introduced, this generation. With the plug-in hybrid model, you can see the plug-in hybrid symbol over there. You can see it's all-wheel drive, and those are functional roof racks up on top. That is an option. The wheels are awesome. I really like that look. It's really cool. I'll walk in, give you a little bit of perspective on size. So you can see it is a not quite compact but small SUV. Competitors include things like the Honda CR-V and for this particular one, probably the Ford Mustang Mach-E, even though that is really a sports car, even though it's an SUV. So, looking at the design, you see it's relatively simple. They didn't go too hardcore. They got rid of a lot of the bulbousness that was really part of the previous generation, and they smoothed it out. So you can see the headlights are fairly large and long, and they have multi-functions if you're looking at them. Then you can see where the hood line runs. It's got a dip in the middle, and then you can see where it kind of comes down and creates this fender here with a line that starts, it fades in right about here and starts running like that, and then stops up here, where it gives the impression that it's curving to create that top of the belt line. The bottom of the belt line fades in after the fender right about here, just underneath this marquee, and it runs along across all the way across here over these door handles until it fades out just above that filler. Now, interestingly, you got this cut line down here and you got this kind of smooth roll going to it. Then you can see where they created a rocker panel look down on there with this sharp crease right here to really emphasize it. So it's nicely done on that. What I don't like about this design, honestly, I don't like these because they seem like added on caps rather than being there for a reason. But this fender line here is accented by one that starts right here, fades in and runs along, and then curves and flattens out, and then curves again. Overall, that creates this bubble around the windows, which makes the greenhouse look larger than it is. So it gives it a bigger impression, which makes the overall vehicle look larger. They're aiming for that SUV look. And then back here you can see the taillights still kind of bulb out a little bit, but they've got some cool little flares for turbulence and other control. So nicely done overall on the design. Let's go look at the working end and then we'll talk about the interior. All right, so here is the back end of the RAV4 Prime. You can see the loading floor is pretty good height, and it goes fairly far back. These seats are tilted back slightly, so you have more room on the floor than you do upwards from them. But regardless, this is a large storage area. Cool thing here, if you fold these seats down, let me see if I can get it to fold down from here. I don't think I can. We'll just cut and move. So you can see after I folded that seat down, it's fairly flat, so it runs all the way through. That one folds flat, fairly flat as well. And then under here you have a little storage compartment that mostly in this particular one houses the spare tire. You can get this without a spare tire, that is an option. And yeah, this also has the optional JBL stereo. So back here, instead of a spot for a milk jug like over there, you have a big subwoofer. So nicely done there. Couple of complaints. I would like to have an option to pull something to drop these seats down from back here instead of having to reach up or go around to the door. This does not have the optional cargo cover, which you can get. Everything is set up for it. You just have to get it. But there is a household outlet back here that runs at 1500 watts, and then a regular cigarette style plug, the round ones. So nicely done back here. Let's go look inside. First thing I want to note about this back seat, that door does not open very wide. So you can see when I open this door, it's still at a pretty acute angle, making getting in and out a little more difficult than it really should be. Once I'm inside though, tons of headroom, even with this panoramic roof. I've still got an inch and a half at least of headroom. I am 6'3". I have lots of leg room, despite this seat being set for me at 6'3". Downside, these seats are flat and low, so I have a lot of gap in my thigh, so I would have to try to put my feet forward to be comfortable back here for the long term. I do like that these rear seats cant back, but they are not adjustable, so where they are right now is as good as it gets. You cannot change that. Really nicely done. There's a couple USB plugs back here. There's rear climate vents back here, and just a nice overall feel, even though it's a black on black interior, which I find really boring. It is nicely done overall for the back seats here. Getting 3 across is going to be kind of cramped, but that's true in no matter what vehicle in this class you're looking at. Let's go up front. I'll talk about that. So, sitting up front here in the RAV4 Prime, you have the usual actual RAV4 layout. It's not really that much different from other RAV4s. It does have a couple of concessions to being a hybrid, and that is there is no tachometer. Instead, there's a little like charge and power meter. And then you also have a button to turn the EV mode on and off over here, so you can force it to drive in electric, assuming it has enough power. Then this particular model has the better infotainment, the JBL stereo upgrade, and a few other things. That 120 outlet I showed you in the back is controlled right here. You turn it on and off. And it has a handful of drive modes, all of which are very good. So in the RAV4 Prime, the rear axle is run by another motor, so there is no mechanical connection to create the all-wheel drive, which gives a lot of little options for traction control that Toyota has taken advantage of in the design of this, which gives it really good inclement weather and light off-road capability, more than you would expect, I think. So nicely done on the layout. There's little shelves to put, for passengers and drivers to put phones and other things. This has a wireless charging setup in it, has lots of USBs, lots of just cubbies and places to put things. You got a total of 4 drink holders up front here. You have 2 in the back, and then if you lay down the armrest in the middle, you have 2 more. So just nicely thought through overall. So my major complaints with this really are just with the drive quality. So there you go. That is the 2022 Toyota RAV4 Prime. Nicely done overall. I think most people that are going to be shopping in this market will really like this one. Price tag's a little high, starts around $40 for the plug-in hybrid. But for those that need that sort of capability or want to save that kind of fuel, because honestly your everyday driving is going to be electric in this, this is a great option and well outfitted for it. So my only downers are it's not a ton of fun to drive. It's kind of boring on the road. It is not loud on the road. That's a good thing. But it is just, there's just no engagement at all. Other than that, it is very well done. It's great as a day-to-day, everyday vehicle. It's great for small families, tons of storage, lots of cargo space, just really nicely done all the way around. So there's a reason the RAV4 is a top seller in this segment, and the RAV4 Prime hits those people that really want to save on the fuel and maybe get some kind of tax break. So there we are. That's it. This is Aaron, 2022 RAV4 Prime. Talk to you again soon.
Subscribe.